This video is a tutorial on how to use certain parts of your chemistry textbook to make it a little bit easier to go through and learn material. So when you click on the online textbook link, it'll bring you to the Pearson Realize Reader format. And you'll have to log in, and usually when we log in, you're going to use your username and password that you would normally use to access your Blackboard classes. So again, you'll just use the same username and password that you use to access your classes. Once you type the information in, you can sign in, and it will load up to what we call your bookshelf. Now my bookshelf looks a little bit different because the teachers have access to a certain teacher platform. But if you have multiple textbooks, ultimately you would have pictures of the textbooks along with the title. Now, since we're talking about the chemistry textbook, I'm going to open the chemistry textbook student edition. And I can do that by clicking on this thumbnail picture right here. And once I click on that, it'll load into your cover page for your textbook. And most of the time when you first access this, it's going to access the cover page in a one-page view. So to talk about the tools, I'm going to talk about the one-page versus two-page view. And there is limited ability on the two-page view. And then I'm also going to talk about some of the tools your textbook has for you to make reading and studying a little bit easier for yourself. So when this opens, it's on the cover and it's on the one-page view. And you'll notice the one-page view has a button down here saying back and next. Since I'm on the cover, I can't go back, but I can definitely go forward. And clicking the next button is almost like flipping a page over. So if I keep clicking next, I'm going to go from page to page and just kind of work my way through the textbook. And then once you get away from the cover and you're in a couple pages, you can click back and that will go back a page for you. Now, if you want to do a two-page view, in this bottom left corner, there's a two-page view option, and you can click on that. And when you click on that, it will load the two pages. So this is like viewing a book if you were to lay it on the table. So let's say this is something you would prefer to use. The buttons to move forward and backward are a little bit different in this case. We have the circle with the arrow both on the left and the right side. So if I wanted to move forward, I would have to click that button, and it would move the page over to the next two pages. Now, if this is too small for you and you still like the two-page view, you can click the zoom button down in the bottom right corner to zoom in and view the text in a larger font. Now, the two-page view has limitations that the one-page view does not. So if you're thinking you want to highlight or to make comments, to have the audio version, all those things require you to be in the one-page view. So if you want to get out of the two-page view, you'll click this close icon here up in the top right, and that will exit out of your two-page view and bring you back to the one-page view. Now, let's say you want to go to a specific chapter or a section. We can actually click this menu button in the top right corner, and it gives us options of what we can pick here. And in order to go to a specific page faster or a chapter faster, you can start by looking at the table of contents. So if we click on the table of contents, it's going to list the chapters for us. And let's say we want to go to chapter 4, atomic structure. Now you'll notice this arrow is next to the title on the left side. And if I click on that, it actually expands chapter 4 into the sections that make it up. So let's say I want to go to section 2. So we're going to go chapter 4, section 2. I can click on that title, and it'll load right to the first page of chapter 4, section 2. Now you'll notice there are a couple of things on the screen now that were not there for the two-page view. So with this, you'll see there's speaker icons. And these speaker icons actually allow you to listen to an audio version of the textbook. Now, whatever the speaker is next to is what is going to be read to you. So if I clicked on the speaker that's next to the large font 4.2, it's going to read the title to you. So 4.2, Structure of the Nuclear Atom. Now, if you want to listen to it reading the actual text to you, you can click on whether you want to start with the question up here or you want to start with subatomic particles, which is the first area in this chapter that the audio is available to read the text for you. And it will go through and read all of the text on that page. So you can listen to it or you can read it. It's entirely up to you. There are a couple other things your textbook can do. So if you want to get rid of the table of contents after you get to where you want to go because you want it centered or a larger font, you can click this X up in the top right corner. And you'll have to do it twice. And then it'll center your page. And your textbook, when you're in the one-page view, has the ability to highlight, circle, and underline. Now, similar to how you would copy and paste or select material when it comes to reading a Word document or anything else, you would click where you want to start. So let's say I want to highlight this first sentence. I'm going to highlight the first sentence, and it's going to give me the option to either highlight it, circle it, or underline it. Let's say I want to circle it, so I click on circle. And then you can actually pick which color you want to use. So let's say I want to use yellow because that's just what it was on. So I'm going to have circle in yellow, and it'll give you an example of what you pick on. And then it has a type an annotation or a comment, and that's entirely up to you. So let's say I want to type in, I need to know this, just to have that important piece there. And then once you're ready, you hit save, and that will actually save it to your textbook. If you hit the X in the top right corner, it will not save. So make sure you hit the save button. And then once you hit save, then you can exit out of it. And that's going to have your circled information along with the comment that you had put in. Now let's say I want to underline. You'll do the same thing and just highlight the material that you want. So let's say I want to highlight this vocabulary word. There we go. Make sure highlight is selected, and then let's say I want to use pink. And then I'll hit save, and that'll save the highlight to my textbook. And the same thing happens with underline. So it's entirely up to you on which one you want to use. But again, you have to go through the process of highlighting the sentence, highlighting the vocab word, whatever it is that you want to mark in your textbook. So those are the tools that you can use when it comes to reading. You also have the ability to bookmark your page, whether it's in the menu here, or there's also an icon right up here with a plus sign in it, and you can hit that and it'll bookmark the page for you. So when you come back, you can read that part that you left off on. There's a notebook where you can type notes in, and it can either tie to the page or just be a centralized notebook for you to take notes versus having to go back to the pages. And then, of course, there's a glossary that you can pick to look up any of your vocabulary words. One other thing I wanted to talk about before the video is done is in the table of contents, if you scroll all the way down, you have the option of going to appendices. And these are very helpful when it comes to certain things that we're learning about. So for example, Appendix A is your Elements Handbook, and it'll give you an idea of specific groups in the periodic table, properties, technologies, and other uses for them. And you might find that helpful when we start learning about that. And it is a good about 41 pages, so that's where you get all these other pieces you can click on here. Then you have reference tables, and that's going to have specific properties for specific elements, and the elements go in alphabetical order. So if you're doing anything with specific physical or chemical properties with elements, you can look at this and find it in alphabetical order, and that might go a little bit faster for you and save you time. Appendix 6 is going to be safety in the lab, which we do in week 1 in Chemistry A. But if you want to refer to anything, you can click on that. And then you have Appendix D and E. So Appendix D is actually going to be something where if you open that, it's going to have problems for you to work on when it comes to specific chapter information. So if you have Chapter 1 or Chapter 2 or Chapter 3, it's going to have practice problems for whatever the material is that we learned. And then the other piece that goes with this is Appendix E, which is selected solutions. Now you're given 1 through 10, say, as an example, 1 through 10 problems for a specific chapter. The selected solutions are only going to give you answers for a couple of them, not for all of them. But it is a way of helping you as you move forward when you try to do a problem and write an answer. And then you want to check your work to make sure you're doing it right. So you'll notice that in the selected solutions, for example, in Chapter 1 here, we have 25, 26, 27, 28, and then it skips down to 35. And that's because with whatever problems are in the back of the chapter, it wants you to do work. It'll help you as you move forward, but ultimately it does want you to learn and be able to do the answers on your own. So I only have access to all the answers in the teacher's edition, in other words. So those are just some things that you can use when it comes to using your online textbook. Again, if you're running into trouble, you need any help, you can't access something or something's not working, make sure to email me. And hopefully everything will go smoothly for you this year. Thanks.